Hello, children. I welcome you all to this new academic year. Hope you are doing good. Let's get into this English class. In this session, we are going to learn from Unit 1 Prose. The title is The Portrait of a Lady, and it was written by Kushwanth Singh. Okay, what do you think about a joint and nuclear family? Yes, you're correct. Joint family is consist of parents, children, grandparents, uncles, aunts and their children. And nuclear family is consist of parents and children. You know that already, right? Yes. So, in joint families, elderly parents will get the support of children. Kids will have the guidance and support of their grandparents. People in joint families will have plenty of support in times of difficulties. Members of joint families are less likely to suffer from loneliness and depression, right? Yes. In the same way, even in nuclear family, people have more privacy. Nuclear families tend to have more gender equality. Adults in nuclear families will learn to be independent, and parents can save money for the future of their kids as they will have fewer expenses. Am I right? Yes. First, we see the gist of the prose. In the portrait of a lady, Kushwanth Singh draws a pen portrait of his grandmother. He describes his childhood with her in the village. He also describes the change that came in the relationship when they moved to the city. Finally, he describes the moving scene of his grandmother's death. Let's see the story in detail. Children, listen carefully. Meanwhile, I'll ask you questions. Okay? Kushwanth Singh remembers his grandmother as being old. Looking at the portrait of his grandfather, he felt he could never have had wife and children. Thus, he could not imagine his grandmother ever being young. His imagine of her was of a slightly bent, short, fat lady with lot of wrinkles, wearing spotless white spectacles, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop and always telling the beads of her rosary. Having been left with his grandmother when his parents went to the city, his bonds with her were very strong. She would get him ready to go to school that was attached to the village temple. While he learnt the alphabets and the prayers, she would sit in the temple reading the scriptures. On the way home, they would feed the street dogs with the chapatis she had brought. Okay, why was the author left with his grandmother in the village? Think well and try to get answer. Yes, the author's parents had gone to live in the city, so they left him with his grandmother. Got it? Okay. Where did the author study in his childhood? Yes, the author studied in a village school which was attached to a temple. Isn't it? Yes. Kushwanth Singh's parents brought Kushwanth Singh and his grandmother to the city. Their relationship changed because the grandmother could not go to school with him. She was unhappy that she could not help him with his lessons. There were no street dogs to feed, and so she took to feeding the sparrows. When Kushwanth Singh announced that he was going to take music lessons, she stopped talking to him. Okay, what took place of village dogs in grandmother's life in the city? Think well. Yes, sparrows took place of village dogs in grandmother's life in the city, isn't it? Yes. Okay. How was his grandmother in the city? Yes. She was unhappy in the city. Why? Because she could not help him with his lessons, and not only that, she could not accompany with him to the school. Isn't it? Yes. When Kushwanth Singh went to the university, he was given a room of his own, and this created a break in his relationship with his grandmother. She accepted this and spent her time at a spring wheel and reciting her prayers. In the afternoon, she relaxed while feeding the sparrows with little bits of bread. They chirped and created a lot of noise while she fed them. When Kushwanth Singh decided to go abroad for further studies, he was worried that he would not see her when he returned after 5 years. She had no doubts that she would see him again and sent him away with a kiss on his forehead. Okay, how did her grandmother spend her time? Yes, you're correct. She spent her time at a spinning wheel and reciting prayers, isn't it? Yes. Okay. What did she feed for the sparrows? Yes. She was feeding the sparrows with little bits of bread, isn't it? Yes. On the day the author returned from his stint abroad, his grandmother hugged him. That evening, she collected the women of the neighborhood and sang songs of the homecoming of warriors while beating on an old dilapidated drum. The next morning, she had a slight fever, but she knew that it was her last day on earth. Okay, what could have been the cause of grandmother's illness? Yes, she fell ill because she was straining herself a lot by singing and dancing at the return of her grandson. Am I right? Yes. The grandmother lay peacefully in her bed, reciting her prayers till she breathed her last. That evening, when they went into her room, they found her room and veranda filled with sparrows. They sat silently all around the body. Feeling sorry for the sparrows, Kushwanth Singh's mother scattered breadcrumbs for them to eat. The sparrows did not take any notice of the food, and when the grandmother's body was removed from the room, they flew away quietly, leaving behind the breadcrumbs. Okay, what did the sparrows do when the grandmother died? Think well and try to get answer. Yes, the sparrows filled the room and veranda, and they sat silently around the body of the grandmother. And not only that, they not even take a single breadcrumb which was scattered by Kushwanth Singh's mother. Am I right? Yes. The close bond between the author and his grandmother is beautifully expressed. The author also brings out the bond between animals, birds, and the human beings who love them in this prose, The Portrait of a Lady. Now we see about the author. Kushwanth Singh is an Indian novelist and lawyer. He studied at St. Stephen's College, Delhi, and King's College, London. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1947. As a writer, he is best known for his keen secularism, sarcasm, and love for poetry. He served as the editor of several literary and news magazines as well as 2 newspapers. Kushwanth Singh was awarded with Padma Bhushan in 1974, Padma Vishubhan by the Government of India, and Sahitya Akademi Fellowship by Sahitya Academy of India. The Mark of Vishnu, A History of Sikhs, The Train to Pakistan, Success Mantra, We Indians and Death at My Doorstep or some of his brilliant works. Let's see a few glossaries from the textbook. Absurd, illogical. Fables, tales. Hobbled, walked unsteadily. Expanse, widespread. Monotonous, unchanging. Seclusion, isolation. Bedlam, noisy confusion. Purged, rested. Rebukes, scolding. Dilapidated, damaged. Let's see a few key points for better understanding. The author's parents had gone to the city, so the author was left with his grandmother in the village. The author spent his childhood days with his grandmother in the village. The grandmother accompanied the author to the school. He was taught alphabets and prayers. Later, they went to the city and joined with their parents. In the city, he learned Western science, English, and music. Slowly, the friendship between them snapped. She spent her time feeding food to the sparrows there. She did not feel sentimental when the author went abroad for his higher education. When he came from abroad, his grandmother sang a song. The next day, she was taken ill and died. Even the sparrows grieved over her death. She is ready to face her own death boldly. And she was strong-minded woman. Okay, children, up to this, the prose gets over. Hope you understand. If you have any doubt, you can call me or you can ping me to clarify all your doubts and do all the given assignments. Watch this video once or twice for better understanding. Okay? Thank you.